Shabbat Shalom, family. Shabbat Shalom. Will Smith here with Witnesses of Yahuwah at House of Restoration, here restoring the house of Yashar El. So we just give glory and honor and praises to the Most High Yahuwah. And we just thank him today for this Sabbath day as we are honoring his day. And today, as y'all see, we'll be talking about the last shall be first. And I just been in my scripture all week just studying, and I keep coming across the last shall be first. Have you ever thought throughout your life, man, it don't matter how much I seem to try to get on top, it seems like I'm always right back starting from the beginning. And a lot of times, I come to understand that Yah will supply us with everything we need. Henceforth, when David said, Yah is my shepherd, I shall not want. Think about that. I shall not want. So there's certain things that we desire and we want. So that makes us want to always have, makes us always want to have more. But how many of you know that many are called, but few shall be chosen? And when we look at that scripture and we pay attention to what Messiah was saying, what he's saying there is there's so many people that hear the calling. Yeah, that's fine. But how many people is actually being chosen? All right, chosen, handpicked, and selected to go forth and do a task, handpicked by Messiah to go forth two by two and tell people. Think about the apostles. He handpicked them. They were chosen out of all the people in Yasharel and Yahuda. He could have picked whoever he wanted to, but he chose those 12. And even one of them was a devil, and he knew it. But the thing is, many times we're gonna expect to have so many we expect because we're with Yah, and this is the thing that have been taught through our institutions in a lot of places throughout America and the Western civilization is godliness is gangliness. I don't know if you ever heard that, but they make it to where what we were talking about that word prosper last week. So a lot of times I try to connect these messages so that we can get a better understanding on when we hear that word prosper, we're not prospering in the sense where we're living in big houses, having a bunch of cars, living without what we think that when we have so much money, we don't have to worry about anything. But I hate to tell you, when you have a good amount of money, you worry about a lot because everybody pestering you. You got all types of different extra expenses that you add on to yourself. So we had to really pay attention to this. And when we look at scripture, we see a young man that said that he lived by the commandments. He followed Torah all his life. He did all these things, but there was one thing that he lacked. And Messiah broke it down to him. So let's look at Matthew chapter 19, verse 16. Matthew chapter 19, verse 16. And behold, one came and said unto him, Good Rabbi, what good things shall I do that I may have eternal life? And he said unto him, Why do you call me good? There is none good but one, that is Yahuwah. But if you will enter into life, guard the commandments. He said unto him, Which? So he even asked, he said, which ones am I supposed to keep? Messiah answered rightly. He said unto him, you shall do no murder, you shall break no wedlock, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, honor your father and mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Now the young man said unto him, All these things have I guarded from my youth up. What lack I yet? So a lot of times in our mind, we think that we're all good. We don't have nothing wrong. But this is where Messiah is saying, hold up, time out. You got to do an inventory check. And sometimes we have to stop and say, when we look in that mirror and say, you know what, God, what is holding me back? What is causing me to constantly stumble? And I'm not saying that every day of our life we constantly stumble. What I'm saying is we still have our faults because we're in the flesh. So there's areas of our life that we have to constantly work on. Remember this, and my pastor would just say, Cleansing, you don't just take a bath one time out of your life. You constantly bathe so that smell doesn't follow you, so that body odor doesn't overtake you. So spiritually, now think about it like this: when you allow your body odor in the spirit or your spiritual odor to become overwhelming, guess what? You can't come before y'all. Why is that? Because remember this, in Sodom and Gomorrah, he said the stench reached to heaven of the wickedness. And that wickedness has to be what? Removed. He can't stand the spiritual filth. And so look what he's saying right here. Yahoo just said unto him, if you will be perfect. Now listen to this. If you will be perfect, remember how we become perfect. How do we become perfect? Through living the ways of Messiah, through following the ways of Messiah. Perfect love, it says. So we have to learn how to love perfectly. We have to learn how to do things. Now, this is going to show what he lacked love, because he told him the last one, he said, you shall love your neighbor. He said, I did all these things. But look what he said. He said, go and sell that you have and give to the poor. What did Messiah say in Leviticus and in Deuteronomy and in Number? He told them to leave 10% for the poor. But now he's telling him right here, he's saying, look, take all your possessions and give it unto the poor. And you shall have, listen, what did he tell us to do? He said, seek ye the kingdom of heaven first and its righteousness, and all other things shall be added unto you. Look what he's telling them right here. This goes hand in hand with that. He said, go and sell that all that you have and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me. Like he basically chose him, because he said, afterwards, come and follow me. Do you realize that after he healed the blind man, he healed a blind man? The blind man, afterward, it was two of them. Afterward, they followed with Messiah. See, we know the 12 that he handpicked, but what about those? And then remember, you had Sushana, the handmaiden of Herod's wife, right? Then you got Mary, you got Miriam, the Marys, it's 3 Marys. You got all these different ones that followed Messiah, right? Because he was humble, he was meek, and he was lowly. And so when he told, he said, then said Yahushua unto his Talmud, I say unto you that a rich man. Oh, I'm sorry. Look at verse 22. But when the young man heard that saying, listen to that. When he heard that, what was he telling him to do? He was telling him to remove his lifeline. Remove your lifeline and trust my lifeline. See, sometimes when we go into surgery, y'all hear what I'm saying? When we go to that hospital, that we our functions, our body it shuts down. So they use different mechanisms to help keep us alive, aspirators and different things to help us breathe. And so Yahuwah was offering him life, and life more abundantly through the way that he walked. But yet he was still connected to his lifestyle. He wasn't willing to give up. Look what Yahushua said. Then Yahushua said unto his Talmud, I say unto you that a rich man shall hardly enter the kingdom of Yahuwah. And again I say unto you, it is easier for a rope to go through the eye of a needle. And I don't know if any of you ever tried to sew or done anything, but even the little thread, it's hard to put that through the eye of a needle. So he said it's harder for a rope to go through the eye of a needle. That's just impossible. It ain't gonna happen. Then look what he said. He said, and again I say unto you, it is when his Talmudim heard it, they were exceedingly amazed, saying, who can then be saved? But Yahushua beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with Yahuwah all things are possible. Then answered Keeper and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed you. What shall we have therefore? And Yahushua said unto them, I say unto you that ye which have followed me in the restoration, when the Son of Adam shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye shall also sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Yasharel. And everyone that has forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or woman, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, not for your brother's name's sake, not for your mother's name's sake, not for your auntie's name's sake, not for your sister's name's sake, not even your pastor's name's sake, but for his name's sake. I mean, he said, you shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. See, the problem that the rich young ruler had was that wasn't happening quick enough. You see what I'm saying? Same problem Judas had. He had a get rich quick scheme, while this other guy, he didn't want to stop being rich because he was afraid that his lifeline was going to be cut off. Not realizing that the lifeline, that if he would have connected to Yahusha, he would have had greater riches in store in heaven. That's what Messiah said. But look what he said. But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. So when you're willing to give up give up your lifestyle. That's what he essentially was telling you. Got to give up that lifestyle, because that lifestyle ain't gonna help you get into the kingdom. It's hard for a rich man to enter into the kingdom. Why is that? Because you're so used to the riches and all the things that you have here on earth. It's hard for you to abandon that. But when you're willing to abandon, he said, man, we abandon all that we have. He said, and you will receive 100-fold in the restoration of the kingdom. I mean, let's look at another one. Go over to Matthew chapter 20. Keep going. We're gonna keep reading. And then go through 1 through 16. For the kingdom of Yahuwah is like unto a man that is a householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. And when he had agreed with laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard, and he sent out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way. Again, he went out about the 6th and 9th hour and did likewise. Now, I want y'all to realize something. These people have already agreed to a certain amount. And I'm going to tell you like this. When you work these jobs and you be at these different jobs, right? You go in, you do your interview, and right in that interview, because you need that job, you agree into whatever they pay you. But as soon as you get on that job, you done been there a little while, you done did the little job a little longer, I was here longer than so and so. And then soon as stuff start piling up or it don't go your way, they don't pay me enough to do this, they don't this and that. But you didn't have that attitude when you got hired, because you knew that you needed stuff for your house, you knew you needed whatever. And now when we look at these guys that coming in the vineyard, as he begins to pick up, and he got the ones from the early hours, then the ones from the 6th hour, then he's gonna pick up some at the 11th hour, right? As we read, we see, but everybody agreed to the same amount. And so it's a lot of times when people coming in through the door where you work at, and then say for instance they decide to give out raises. These people coming in making the same thing that I'm making. I should have got more of a raise than what they making coming through the door. Hold on, time out. You agreed to this amount, and they're giving you an extra amount now, and you still complain because you were just complaining because you didn't have enough at first. They just gave you $1.50, and just because the person coming through the door got the same amount as you have a problem. But see, Messiah wants us to see that we are all equal in his eyes. No matter whether you came to the kingdom 20 years ago, or whether you just was born into the kingdom. He sees us all the same. And so therefore, even though we all have different tasks, we all are, some of us are required more things of others. It's still our responsibility to follow the rules of the kingdom. All right? Because I guarantee you don't follow the laws of this land, guess what? You're going to end up in jail, prison, hell, somewhere. Because they ain't going to just let you run amok and do what you want. And it's the same way in the kingdom. We're given rules or commandments. And if you don't abide by those commandments, then guess what? You can't abide in the kingdom. Remember, Yahusha, he laid out rules and statutes and commandments for us to follow. So look what it said. Again, he went out about the 6th hour and the 9th hour and did likewise. And about the 11th hour, he went out and found others standing idle and said unto them, why stand ye here all day idle? They say unto them, because no man has hired us. he says unto them, go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. So even was come, and the Lord of the vineyard said unto his steward, call the laborers and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. So he started with the last, and then he moved his way up to the first. And so I guess the ones in their mindset that, oh, I've been here longer, I need, also, let's look at it like this. How much did the guy that came in overwork? I mean, not overwork, but do more than what you actually did when you were there from the early hours? Do you feel like because you were there, now you can slack off because other workers came? Because we have that mentality in these places where we work at. And when I read scripture, I just always place real life. And I used to be one of those guys, man, they don't pay me enough to do this. But if you go in with the mindset that you're doing it wholeheartedly, as if you're doing it under y'all, and you don't have that mindset on just trying to build and make money and this and that, then guess what? Yahuwah will allow you to become successful. And as long as you don't put money first, because guess what? When you put money first, you're worshiping something other than Yah. And so when you begin to put that money first, or mammon, you're really worshiping the God of wealth. And so we had to realize that we don't understand in our culture that there are so many different forms of worship. When we celebrate certain things, that's worship. I mean, and so when we put these things first, that means we're putting Yahuwah behind. And so that's why we had to be careful, and that's why we had to watch. So look what else he said. So, and when they came that were hired about the 11 hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they shall receive more. They likewise received every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house, saying, these last have wrought but 1 hour, and you have made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and the heat of the day. But he answered one of them and said, friend, I do you no wrong, but did you not agree with me for a penny? Take that is yours and go your way. I will give unto the last even as unto you. It is not lawful for me to do what I will with my own. Right? So he said, is your eye evil because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first last. For many be called, but few are chosen. Many be called, but few are chosen. I want to give y'all a couple of instances with that. Let's talk about Moses a little bit. All right. Moses was worse than a slave. How was Moses worse than a slave? He was a fugitive. He was on the run from Pharaoh because he killed a man. And guess what? Y'all chose him. Yes. Right? So let's go read that a little bit, because y'all still chose him, even though he was a fugitive in man's eyes, but in y'all's eyes, y'all saw something in him. Right. And I want to tell y'all something. You may be looking in man's eyes one way, but in y'all's eyes, he see you as a precious stone, something that can be polished and made pure and used one day. I mean, so many of us, I'm gonna tell you like this, my life ain't been great. I done so many bad things, so many things that were just that spun out of control, that where I should have been locked up. I should be probably in hell burning, because it was so many areas where I placed my life in danger. So many things that I lived a wrong life in front of, and was wicked. Regardless of whether I thought I was good or whatever the case was, I was wicked, because in his eyes, all those things were against his word, were against his word. And what is it? Is it Yahoo Khan John that says anyone that claims to be of Yah but doesn't admit that or believe that Yahusha came, every man let him be a liar, or something to that extent. And you know, I knew and I believed, but at the same time I didn't believe the like that was being placed before me. And so many of us, just like the rich young ruler, we think that we're right there, right, doing things right. But then when he says, hey, this is what I have, against thee. Ain't that what he told a couple of the churches in Revelation? So listen, you doing this right, but I find I still have somewhat against thee. This is an area of your life you need to get corrected, but you still continue to do against Messiah's will, against Yah's will, then guess what? You become a fugitive to the kingdom, because you're not living the life that he proposed for us to live. We're supposed to put on the mind of Yah. We're supposed to be examples as he was an example. But if we're doing things that is wrong and different than what Messiah did, then how can we expect others to see our light? How can we expect others to see our light when we dim our lights? Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is we have our picks and choose on who we want the light to shine around. Yeah. When we trying to impress somebody that want to hang out and go to the club and do this and that, we turn the light off. Yeah. But then when we see a certain person, we think, oh man, that's somebody that I could help. I mean, we do things according to the way that we think, and we stop thinking like Messiah when we think we done been doing this long enough. But I want to tell you something. You can't never do this long enough. Because as he said, the first shall be last, the last shall be first. I know many people that walk this walk for years and get turned around, and they are not doing what they're called to do. I mean, they were chosen, they were handpicked, they were selected, and yet, just like Judah, yeah, they backslid. So let's look at what Moshe. He was worse than a slave. He was a fugitive. So let's look at this. Exodus chapter 2. Exodus chapter 2, starting from verse 11. And I'm going to go down to 15. And it came to pass in those days when Moshe was grown that he went out unto his brother and looked on their burdens. And he spied a Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren, and he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. And when he went out on the second day, behold, two men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, wherefore smite your fellow? And he said, who made you a prince and a judge over us? Intend you to kill me as you killed the Egyptian? And Moshe feared and said, surely this thing is known. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moshe. But Moshe fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. So he was a fugitive because he fled the state. I mean, and normally that's what happens when we flee from the police or wherever. We are supposed to be, they're supposed to be apprehending us from that, makes us a fugitive. So he was he fled. But I want to show y'all something, because in Exodus chapter 3, some time had went by, but guess what? Moshe was called and chosen by Messiah. So look at this. Exodus chapter 3. Exodus chapter 3, verses 9 and 10. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Yasharel has come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now therefore, and I will send to you. Listen to that. I will send you. Shalom, shalom. Is that come now therefore, and I will send you unto Pharaoh, that you may bring forth my people, the children of Yasharel, out of Mitzrayim. Look at that. Yah chose Moshe. And even though Moshe tried to come up with so many different reasons why he shouldn't have been the one to do it, Yah had better solutions than he had excuses. So he commanded him. Let's talk about another one. Joseph. Remember Joseph? He was a prisoner, right? That was worse than a slave. He was a prisoner, but he was chosen by Yah to rule. So let's look at that real quick. So Genesis chapter 39, verses 11 through 20. Let's look at his crime and what caused him, because he really didn't commit a crime, because what? He was submitting himself to Yah. He resisted the devil and flee. He resisted the devil that the devil may flee, but he fled the scene so that he would not be caught in the act of adultery because he remembered Torah. He kept Yah's commandments. So look at this, 11 through 20. And look at here. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, Lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. And it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house and spoke unto them, saying, See, he is brought and in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, and he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came. And she spoke unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant which you have brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his woman, which she spoke unto him, after saying this manner, did your servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in prison. So time had passed. I mean, probably almost 20 years. So this young man did some time, and was stuck there. But look what happened, because even though he was there, Yah was still with him. Yah favored him in that house where he was with Potiphar, and then he turned around and favored him in that house in the prison. He favored him because the prison master would put things in his hands, so he still was in control over the prison. Now the funny thing is, I want to show y'all something, because in Genesis 41, 34 through 44, this is what happened. Y'all remember Pharaoh had a dream. The butler remembered that it's one in prison that interprets dreams. He interpreted my dream for him. Now remember this, he didn't say nothing to Pharaoh as soon as he got out. Yah gave an appointed time for this to happen. So a lot of times we all have appointed times. Like, it may seem like no one is paying attention to you. It may seem like that you giving messages and nobody ain't receiving them. But there's an appointed time sometimes for a certain message to reach the hearts of others, or to enter the spirit of others and stir up their ruach. I mean, it's certain times that Yah has appointed for others to see and understand. All right. So look at this. So when we look at Genesis chapter 41, verses 34 through 44, let Pharaoh do this and let him appoint officers. So this is Joseph explaining what Pharaoh needs to do after the dream, because famine is coming for 7 years, and then it's going to be 7 years of good harvest. So he said, let Pharaoh do this and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years, and let them gather all the food of those good years that come and lay up grain under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them guard food in the city. And that food shall be for a store to the land against the 7 years of famine which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Ruach Elohim is? And Pharaoh said unto El Yosef, For as much as Elohim has showed you all this, there is none so discreet and wise as you are. You shall be over my house, and according to your word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than you. So this man was second in command in the whole nation. So nobody can overrule him but Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto El Yosef, See, I have set you over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh took his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, bowed the knee. And he made him ruler over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh said unto Elioseph, I am Pharaoh, and without you shall no man lift up his hand or his foot in all the land of Mitzrayim. Look at that. So even the man Potiphar that wanted to place this man in prison, his power didn't even stand. You see that? Because even though he was last in that kingdom, he became first. That's right. And same way with Moshe, he was last of all the Hebrews, but he became first. And he became a leader over all of them. But let's talk about one that in particular everybody recognizes. And this is David, King David. Let's look at him, because this man was a kid. And while he was a kid, he was anointed king. Was he not? He was last of all his brethren, but made first before each one of them. Let's talk about something else. I remember a battle that he was about to go into. He just went down to bring his brother food as his father commanded. That's all he was going to do. That's all he was told to do. Just take his brother some food. But he heard somebody in the back talking about the nation of Yahshua. He said, hold on, who defies the armies of the living Yah? Everybody else was scared and they was trembling and they was feared the big giant. But this little bitty boy, remember, it said he was ruddy, he looked, he didn't have, he was small. But Yah used him to slay a giant. And out of all the people that was there, Saul had warriors at his command, and yet none of them was willing to go fight. The king himself feared and even hid. But yet here comes this little ruddy boy. And Yah, by the Ruach HaKodesh, he slayed this giant. Let's talk about that a little bit. Because first let's look at his first appearance. David's first appearance. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verses 1 through 12. Because now Samuel was looking through the eyes of man. He at that moment he hadn't put on the Ruach. Listen, we know that Samuel had the Ruach. We know that he had the Ruach HaKodesh. But at that time when y'all said, look, go anoint my king, man, he went with the eyes of man. And he began to look, and he was looking at these young men of Jesse. The Hebrew name is actually Yishai, but we'll call him Jesse for now. So he was looking at the boys of Jesse, and he seen that one of them was all nice and built up all nice, and then another one was tall and muscular, and then another one had, good hair and a beautiful countenance. But yet, hold on, y'all say, these ain't now one of them. Neither one of them is for me. Let's look, verse 1. And Yahuwah said unto El Shamuel, how long will you mourn for El Shaul? Remember, by now Shaul or Saul, he was no longer selected to be king. Yeah, he was picked, but he was picked by the people. He wasn't picked by Yah. Remember that now. The people picked Saul when they first wanted a king. Yah did not pick him, but they allowed the people to kind of do a vote. Now, Yah had a say-so in allowing his spirit to be given or placed upon Shaul. But the people actually picked him because he was taller than everybody else. He, came from a good line, so they picked Saul. But look here, he said, man, how long you gonna cry over this dude? Come on. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verses 1 through 12. So how long you gonna cry over this dude, seeing I rejected him from reigning over Yahshua? Fill your horn with oil and go, and I will send you to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. And Samuel said, how can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. And Yahuwah said, take a heifer with you and say, I am come to sacrifice to Yahuwah. and call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you what you shall do. And you shall anoint unto me him whom I name unto you. And Samuel did that which Yahuwah spoke and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming and said, Come you peaceably? And he said, Peaceably. I am come to sacrifice unto Yahuwah. Sanctify yourselves and come with me to sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons and called them to sacrifice. And it came to pass when they were come that he looked on Eliab and said, Surely Yahuwah's anointed is before him. But Yahuwah said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For Yahuwah sees not as man sees, for man looks on the outward appearance, but Yahuwah looks on the heart. See, he knew that this brother right here had a heart that would melt when he was sent into to battle, when tribulation would come along, when things that were a little tough were gonna get hard, he couldn't endure. You see what I'm saying? But David, this little man of stature, he had a heart that would endure. He had a big heart. He was a man right after Yah's own heart. Right now. So look what he said. Then Jesse called, which one the name? It's hard to say that word. Nadab, and made him pass before Samuel, and he said, Neither has Yahuwah chosen this. Then Jesse made Shammah to pass by and said, Neither has Yahuwah chosen this. Again, Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel, and Samuel said unto Jesse, Yahuwah has not chosen these. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all your children? And he said, There remains yet the youngest, the last, right? The last, and behold, he keeps the sheep. Not only that, he was a shepherd. Yeah, come on. The youngest one now. See, the thing I love about David is he said, Listen, a bear and a lion came to take one of my sheep. Y'all hear me? See, he had a heart after Messiah, because Messiah said, Who having sheep would allow the one to go, having 99, and allow the one to go astray and not go get him. See, the 99, they strong, they good together. But that one, I got to go get him. See, one was in the mouth of a bear. He went and slayed that thing. Another one was in the mouth of a lion. He went and took that thing out. So we had to be willing to run up on bears and lions to protect one another. We had to be willing, to fight this battle. We have to know that we're in a spiritual warfare. Even when that offered him the king's armor, he said, I don't need this. It's going to weigh me down. And so a lot of times we walking around with the world's armor on, thinking that we're going to fight a spiritual battle and being weighed down. What do I mean by that? He said, let not the care of this world overweigh you. Let it not weigh you down. Where? In the heart. Because when you start allowing the weightier matters of the world to take over your heart, then you're not doing the will of Yah, because his will is put to the side because you're working on other things. He told us to be submissive unto his will. That means casting your will to the side and allowing his will to reign in your life. Right. And Samuel, he had a different agenda, not a different agenda, but he had a different thought process on the way that he thought this was supposed to go. And then finally, y'all had to say, look, man, I don't see things how you do. I have a different way of looking at things. You're looking at the outer appearance. I'm looking at the heart. I want somebody that, remember, back when they was coming from the land of Mitzrayim, he sent out 12 spies on the 2 had a good report. And one of them later on, he told Joshua, he said, look, Yah, he gave me a promise that I could have this land. He said, my heart is just, he said, I'm just as strong as I was before. He wasn't talking about his countenance. He wasn't talking about his strength. He was talking about his El Ruach, his heart. He was talking about in heart, I still had that same strength and vitality that I had back then. I'm still willing to go and fight giants because I know that Messiah is going to take them down for me. They know that it wasn't their power that knocked down the walls of Jericho. It was El Yahuwah. And then they found out real quick when they touched that accursed thing that it wasn't their power that was winning battles. It was El Yahuwah. And yet we turn around and We allow, listen, I was telling my wife the other day, I said, we allow our thought processes, the way that we think, because remember, I love the fact that he said his thoughts are higher than all. They surely is. Because we'll forget what manner of man we is as soon as we walk and turn away from that mirror. And look at this, we'll forget that Yahuwah just brought us through the fire. We'll forget about that in a week or so. And then soon as another tribulation come along, we crying and moaning. And now listen, he wants you to cry and moan to him through prayer. He wants you to cry and moan to him through worship. But he don't want you feeling like that you have to give up, that all is lost. Nothing is going to be able, you won't be able to succumb to anything. Man, all things succumb unto you. All things should submit up unto you. Because you're a son of the king. I mean, so just like they was looking at David, they were looking at all these other sons. It said 7 sons passed before him, but y'all said this ain't one of them. Nope. This is who I chose. I want to show you something. He said, and he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and with all of beautiful countenance and goodly to look to. And Yahuwah said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the horn of the oil, anointed him in the midst of his brethren, and the Ruach Yahuwah came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. Look at that. He went to Ramah. Now, I want to show y'all something, because if you go to verse chapter 17 and then go down to verse 20, go to chapter 17, then go to verse 20. Look at this. And David rose up early in the morning and left the sheep. Now, he left the sheep. He left it with another keeper. Now, y'all remember what Yahushua said about that. The keeper was one. He was a assistant, in other words. He helped assist with the sheep. So he left the sheep with a keeper and took and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to the fight and shouted for the battle. For Yasharel and the Philistine had put the battle in array, army against army. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage and ran into the army and came and saluted his brother. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion. I am the champion. Y'all know what I'm talking about? The person that wins most of the battles for you, the person that you always looking at and relying on. Listen, I'm going to tell you the person that I learned to look on and rely on as my champion. That's Yahushua HaMashiach. See, a lot of us find people in our lives that we want to look up to, that we want to declare our best friend and declare them this, declare them that. And then when it come down to it, they ain't nothing but talk. Because that's all Goliath was. Now, and the other people's eyes, he probably would have slayed them, but coming up against y'all, he would just talk. He couldn't slay David. Why? Because Yah had already placed him in his hand. And I want to tell you like this, there's so many troubles that you might have that is already placed in your hand. Huh? Because when you dwell in the secret place of the Most High, you abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Huh? Though 1,000 come to slay you, and at your and then another 1,000 at your right hand, guess what? He already sent the angel to slay them. So we have to realize that regardless of whether we think that we're bad off and we don't have this, we don't have that, guess what? You first in his eyes. You first in his eyes. Regardless of what it looked like, what it sound like, whatever the case is, you are already placed first. But you just have to continue to stay on the path of straight and narrow. I mean, that's why David started off it. Yah is my shepherd, I shall not want. He do what? Leadeth me down the path of righteousness, what for his name's sake. Huh? Not for Wes's name's sake. Not for your pastor's name's sake. Not for Julie's name's sake or Sandra's name's sake, but for his name's sake. Now look at this. And he talked with them. Behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistine, and spoke according to the same word. And David heard them. Hold up, who is this? Y'all let him just talk like that? You Can you imagine that? Have you ever hung with somebody that was just so gung ho and always ready to fight? I used to be in the game, so I always was like the one that like, hold up. And I didn't do much talking. They called me. I was more like the hit man. You do all that talk, you get jacked up real quick. And not throwing myself out there, but I will say this. I wasn't one, I looked at it like this. If danger was coming my way, I want to go ahead and eliminate it at the source. Let's get rid of it. So that way you know what I'm saying? I know that I'm good. So a lot of people talk and a lot of people just, but are you of action? So a lot of times I will put people to the test to see if that talking that you're gonna do and you're gonna back it up. And so sometimes, you know, in our lives, we have to, the way that we used to live our old lives, we have to place that in the spirit. I mean, you get what I'm saying? So we have to learn how to fight those battles that we used to fight naturally. We have to learn how to fight them spiritually and handle things on a core, which the way y'all would want us to handle it. And most of the time, you got to go into prayer. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, you got to go into fasting. Most of the time, you got to be in His Word so He can give you instruction and tell you what needs to come next. I mean, just like the rich young ruler. Hey, I kept all these from my youth. Hey, that's one thing that you lack. You need to give all that you have and give them to the poor. He knew that he couldn't do it because his heart was not in Torah. His heart was in the things of the world. So let's read on. And all the men of Yashael, when they saw the man, fled from him and were so afraid. They was afraid. And the men of Yashael said, have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Yashael, he come up, and it shall be that the man who kills him, the king will enrich him with great riches and will give him his daughter. Now they were trying to bribe people to go and fight this man. They were trying to bribe people. Do you see that? The king, the one that's supposed to be standing up for the people, the one that the people chose to be their king, is hiding behind his money. And not only his money, but his daughter as well. He gonna have to pay what he owed though. He gonna have to pay what he owed. And David spoke to the men. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, and David spoke to the men that stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the man that kills the Philistine and takes away the reproach from Yashael? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living Elohim? And the people answered him after this manner, saying, so shall it be done to the man that kills him. And Eliab, his older brother, remember the one that was tried first by Samuel, that was denied of Samuel. He was already jealous. That's what it was. Look what it said. And he spoke unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David and said, why come you down here? See, because he already showed him up once. Now he about to show him up again. And a lot of times, we as brethren in this walk, we want to get competitive. Yeah. We want to have a jealousy spirit that comes along, and then we sit up there because I was born first, or I was saved first. Why is Yah revealing this to you and He ain't revealed to me? Listen, your revelation is your revelation. My revelation is mine. It's up to you how you proceed with what Yah has shown you. See, so a lot of times we get jealous and we look at the circumstance, but not realizing, man, what Yah showed you may be stupendously greater than mine. I just went through and followed through on the revelation. You stewing in your own filth, in your own mess, because instead of you following through on your revelation and something manifesting from it, you rather sit back and worry about what He doing with me. And a lot of times in this walk, we find people that is haunted because of their heart is so focused on what others are doing instead of helping. And so look at here, his brother, which thought he was first, should have been thought in his heart he should have been king, because this is what Samuel came to do. He came to anoint the next king. He was angered and with David. Why came you down here? And with whom have you left those sheep in the wilderness? Now you worried about what I got going on. See, that's what I'm saying. We get so focused on what other. Listen, I already got somebody to tend to mine. Why are you standing here and letting this uncircumcised Philistine defy the armies of the living Yah? Look at him. He said, I know your pride and the wickedness of your heart. Hold on, you telling me I'm wicked when y'all just chose me for being pure of heart? See, that's jealousy speaking.
Yeah.
And it's the same way that the laborers, right? Back with the laborers when they were like, hold on, how we served from the first hour, they come in the 11th hour, they get the same thing. This is what I'm saying. A lot of our brethren hinder themselves in the kingdom because they feel like, oh, why is you getting dreams like this? Why is you being revealed? Why? You ask them more why than saying, okay, I will do it. I will follow. I will attend to your will. But instead you ask why. And guess who's gonna ask why? Mama, who gonna ask why? Those goats gonna ask why. Why is we being cast away if we did this, if we did that? Why, if I call and I cast out demons in your name, you telling me to depart from you? See, it's gonna be so many whys going on when judgment day comes. It's gonna be so many whys being asked when he said, "Depart from me, you worker of iniquity." Look right here. He said, "For you are come down that you might see the battle." And David said, "What have I now done? Is there not a cause?" Now, y'all remember this used to happen with Joseph. They were jealous of him. They treated him wrong. They cast him away. They sold him. And he went through all types of things, but he became on top, right? So look at this. Something similar here happened. And he turned from him toward another and spoke after the same manner, and the people answered him again after the former manner. And when the words were heard which David spoke, they rehearsed them before Shaul or Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with the Philistine. Now let's do this. Oh my goodness, hold up. So you go, okay, you do it then. And Saul said to David, you are not able to go against the Philistine and fight with him. He kind of mocking him now, saying that sarcasm. Man, you ain't not you. Not you. Not this look, y'all ain't he cute? That what he doing. Y'all know how people ain't he cute, not realizing that he already been anointed in your place. Y'all didn't hear me. He already been anointed in Saul's place to do what Saul wasn't able to do. And what was that? Follow a commandment. That was keep his integrity. Huh? That was be obedient to y'all's will. Look at this. And David said to Shaul, let no man, verse 33. And Shaul said to David, you are not able to go against the Philistine and fight with him. You are but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said to Saul, your servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. Your servant slew both the lion and the bear. And this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he has defied the armies of the living Elohim. David said, moreover, Yahuwah that delivered me out of the paw. Listen, he delivered me out of the paw. Y'all know how big a paw of a lion is? He said, Yahuwah that delivered me. Listen, he didn't say my strength, did he? He said, Yahuwah that delivered me out of the paw of a lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he has defied the arms of the living Yah. He will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and Yahuwah be with you now. Oh, well, if he did it better than the lion, maybe, just maybe, let's see what come of this. All right. So, and Saul armed David with his armor and put a helmet of brass upon his head. Also, he armed him with a coat of mail. David girded himself with a sword upon his arm, and he said to go, for he had not proved it. Meaning this had not been tested. He had never fought in armor before, and it was really hindering him. So look what he said. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. I ain't tested them yet. And so a lot of times, let's say it like this, you haven't been given the authority to do certain things because you ain't been tested yet. I mean, and though you may be first one day, or as Yah calls you, but you have to be chosen. That's right. To do the task that is being placed before you. So I'm using his armor as what's being done here, because he said I can't move right. And what's going to happen if you put yourself in a situation that Yah hasn't placed you in? You ain't going to be able to move right. You ain't gonna be able to maneuver like you should be able to maneuver. I mean, that's like being placed on a team in the football. You know, good time well, you ain't supposed to be no linebacker because you don't have the size or the strength to do it. You should be a wide receiver maybe, or even the quarterback. But being placed as a linebacker, guess what? You're gonna get pushed everywhere around that field. Now look at here. All right, so David put them off him, and he took his staff in his hand. He just took his staff and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in a shepherd's bag, which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistine came on and drew near David. And the man that bore the shield went before him, and when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him. He just started laughing. Oh my goodness. Look, this is all they got. This is all they got. They gonna send this little boy before me. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna embarrass them. Look, let's make a wager. Whoever loses becomes a slave of the other kingdom. How about that? This little boy. Look at him. So the Philistine came on, drew near to David, and the man bore the. Okay, so. And when the Philistine looked about and saw, he disdained him, for he was but a youth and ruddy and of a fair countenance. Oh, he too pretty. I'm finna beat that pretty boy up. That's what he's saying. And the Philistine said to David, am I a dog that you come to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his Elohim. Now, guess what? His Elohim didn't have power over the true living Elohim. So he could curse him all he wants. So look what happened here. David and the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give your flesh unto the fowls of the air, to the beasts of the field. Then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to you in the name of what? He said, I come to you in the name of what? Somebody type that down there for me. I come to you in the name of Yahuwah Sabbath. I don't got all this stuff. I don't need no armor. I don't need no sword, no spear, or no shield. I come to you in the name of Yahuwah Sabbath, the Elohai of the armies of Yashar, whom you have defied. Look at that. This day will Yahuwah deliver you into my hand. I will smite you and take your head from you. Listen, I go a step further. The birds won't only eat your flesh, but I will take your head from you. And I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistine this day unto the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, and that all the earth may know that there is an Elohim in Yashar. Y'all see that? This dude is brave. And all this assembly shall know that Yahuwah says not with sword and with spear, for this battle is Yahuwah's, and he will give you into our hand. And it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hands in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead and fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Look at this. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine and took his sword and drew it out of his sheath. Now think about it, how big this dude was. Think about how big his sword had to be. All right? But look what he said. He said, and he drew it out of his sheath and slew him and cut off his head therewith. He kept his promise. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. Look at that. They fled. So even though in the kingdom he was last, he wasn't even a warrior at that point in time. He was just a youth that they mocked. But yet he became first. He became chosen to slay the giant. I mean, let's talk about one last person that, because remember, there are people that know how to totally just give from the heart. That's right. And so before we close, I just want to say, with tithe and offering, I don't know if you do it or not, but we do it. And the first thing I do whenever I get my check is send my tithe straight off. I send them straight off so that way that could be my first. I mean, and even if it's gonna cause me to be in the hole, I'm still sending that. Why? Because when you give up a sacrifice, you're supposed to send it from the heart. And so I want to say, if any of you out there is willing to give to this ministry, to donate and help our mission, then as I often tell y'all, is in the description below. But it's just like this woman right here. Look at it. Mark chapter 12, verses 41 through 44. And Yahusha sat over against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. They put in a lot, and still, but guess what? They still had. And remember, we started out talking about the rich young ruler. He wasn't willing to give up all that he had so that he could have treasure stored in the kingdom of heaven. But look at this. And there came in a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto him his talent and said unto them, I may not say unto you that this poor widow has cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasure. For all they did cast into and of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. Now, if he would have asked this time being, who you think cast in more, they would have said, supposing the rich man, because they were looking at a man's eyes. But remember, y'all said he don't look at things the same way that man does. And so we had to be willing, no matter what's going on, no matter how hard we think things may be, we had to be willing to sometimes it may look like we're in last. We had to be willing to sacrifice. We had to be willing to cast our own will to the side in order to follow his will. I mean, and so in closing, just remember, you may seem like you're last right now, but he has already placed you first because he has already looked upon you and see your righteousness. Your righteousness puts you in a place that no other can be placed in if they're living against his commandments. I mean, so y'all just remember, next week we will probably just discuss a little bit about many are called, but few are chosen, to get a little bit more into that topic, to realize that thousands can be called, but only maybe 10 can be chosen to heal. 5 can only be chosen to minister, or whatever the case is, and 1 may only be called to be the leader of a nation. So we never know how y'all gonna use us or our children. I mean, so in closing, don't forget, if you want to help out, then it's in the description below, and don't forget to say thank you, Yahusha. I mean, I love you, Yahuwah love you. Don't forget to say thank you, Yahusha. Talk to y'all soon. Later.